They said she was washed up, done, a has-been who threw it all away. But here's what nobody wants to talk about. Kristen Stewart went from being the face of a billion-dollar franchise to allegedly becoming Hollywood's most controversial cautionary tale. She had everything lined up: the looks, the roles, the career momentum. And then one scandal changed everything. Or did it? Because what happened next is way more interesting than the story you think you know. Born in Los Angeles in 1990, Stewart grew up with Hollywood in her blood. Her dad was a TV producer and stage manager, her mom a script supervisor. She wasn't some star-struck kid dreaming of fame though. Actually, she wanted to be a screenwriter. But when a talent scout spotted her in a school Christmas play at age 8, everything shifted. By 2002, she was landing her first big role in David Fincher's Panic Room alongside Jodie Foster. Not a bad start for a 12-year-old. Throughout the mid-2000s, Stewart quietly built her resume with indie films and smaller dramas. Movies like Speak, Into the Wild, and Adventureland showed she had range beyond typical teenage roles. Critics noticed her naturalistic acting style. She wasn't doing the big gestures or obvious emotion. She played things internal, quiet, understated. Some people loved it. Others thought she just looked bored. Then came 2008. Twilight hit theaters and absolutely exploded. Based on the YA vampire romance novels, the movie grossed over $400 million worldwide and turned Stewart and her co-star Robert Pattinson into overnight superstars. The franchise turned out 5 films in just 4 years, making Stewart one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Teen girls worshipped her. She was on magazine covers everywhere. The money was rolling in. By the time the series wrapped, the Twilight movies had made over $3.3 billion globally. Stewart used that Twilight momentum to land the lead in Snow White and the Huntsman in 2012. The movie made nearly $400 million at the box office. It wasn't just a vampire saga anymore. She was proving she could carry big-budget action films. Hollywood insiders started comparing her to Jennifer Lawrence and Scarlett Johansson. She was being groomed for A-list superstardom. Everything was on track. And then July 2012 happened. Photos surfaced of Stewart kissing Rupert Sanders, the director of Snow White and the Huntsman. The problem, she was dating Robert Pattinson at the time. Sanders was married to model Liberty Ross and had 2 kids. The internet lost its mind. Us Weekly called it a steamy affair. Headlines screamed homewrecker. Even Donald Trump tweeted about it, telling Pattinson not to take her back. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Stewart issued a public apology saying the indiscretion had jeopardized the most important thing in her life. Sanders apologized to his family. His wife filed for divorce 6 months later. Stewart and Pattinson briefly got back together, then split for good in 2013. The damage to Stewart's image was massive. Twilight fans felt betrayed. Hollywood studios got nervous about her being a PR liability. The sequel to Snow White went forward without her. But here's where the story gets more complicated. Years later, in 2019, Stewart opened up on Howard Stern's show and clarified what actually happened. She admitted to kissing Sanders, but said they never slept together. The media had run with assumptions. She also talked about the intense scrutiny she faced as a young woman in the public eye, calling the backlash absurd. Looking back now, the reaction does seem wildly disproportionate, especially considering Sanders was nearly 20 years older and in a position of power as a director. After the scandal, big studio roles dried up. Stewart retreated into independent cinema for most of the 2010s. She worked with acclaimed directors like Olivier Assayas on Clouds of Sils Maria and Personal Shopper. In 2015, she became the first American actress to win a César Award in France for her supporting role in Clouds of Sils Maria. Critics praised her work in these smaller films. She was taking risks, working with auteur directors, building serious acting credibility. In 2019, she returned to mainstream Hollywood with the Charlie's Angels reboot, directed by Elizabeth Banks. The movie bombed hard, getting destroyed by critics and audiences alike. It made only $73 million worldwide on a $48 million budget. Then came Underwater in 2020, a mid-budget sci-fi horror film that also flopped critically and commercially. The narrative started forming that Stewart couldn't carry movies anymore, that her box office appeal was gone. Then something unexpected happened. In 2021, Stewart starred as Princess Diana in Spencer, directed by Pablo Larraín. The film focused on a critical weekend in Diana's life at Sandringham in 1991, as her marriage crumbled. Critics were divided. Some called it a masterpiece of psychological portrayal. Others said Stewart's performance was overly mannered and breathless, with an inconsistent accent. But the film got her something she'd never had before, an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. The nomination shocked people. She'd been snubbed by the Screen Actors Guild and the BAFTAs. Some industry insiders were confused by the Academy's choice. But Stewart had become only one of a handful of openly LGBTQ actors nominated in a leading role. She didn't win. Jessica Chastain took home the Oscar for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, but the nomination itself marked a turning point. Since then, Stewart's career has followed a different path entirely. In 2024, she starred in Love Lies Bleeding, a gritty neo-noir lesbian romance thriller directed by Rose Glass. The film premiered at Sundance and earned a rare 94% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, making it the highest-rated fiction film of Stewart's entire career. Critics praised her chemistry with co-star Katie O'Brien and her understated performance. The movie made modest box office returns, but found huge success on streaming platforms. Stewart also got married to screenwriter Dylan Meyer in April 2025, after getting engaged in 2021. She co-founded a production company called Nevermind Pictures, and in May 2025, her directorial debut, The Chronology of Water, premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, receiving largely positive reviews. Stewart is now directing, producing, and choosing projects on her own terms. So what's the real story here? Did Kristen Stewart have a downfall? Yeah, kind of. That 2012 scandal absolutely derailed her trajectory toward mainstream superstardom. The big franchises never came calling again. She'll never be in a Marvel movie or lead another billion-dollar series. But did her career actually end? Not even close. Stewart carved out a different lane. She became an indie darling, a César winner, an Oscar nominee, a Cannes director. She's worth an estimated $70 million. She's working with the directors she wants to work with on projects she believes in. Her recent films are critically acclaimed. The narrative that Stewart crashed and burned is lazy and incomplete. She didn't become the next Jennifer Lawrence in terms of box office domination, but she became something arguably more interesting. An actor who survived a media firestorm, rebuilt her career on her own terms, and ended up with more creative freedom than most A-listers ever get. She went from tabloid villain to respected artist. Was the 2012 scandal a massive setback? Absolutely. Did she make mistakes? She's admitted as much. But the idea that Kristen Stewart is some bitter, irrelevant burnout? That's fiction. She's directing films at Cannes, starring in critically beloved indies, and living her life authentically. Maybe that's not the Hollywood ending everyone expected, but it might be better. Subscribe for more. And bye!